Okay. Well, we are live as of right now. All I need to do is hit this go live button here and done. And welcome to our morning download with Cortney McDermott. How are you?
I am fabulous. How are you?
I'm in a state of I don't know right now. I've you know what's going on. I've just come off the unfortunate passing of my mom, and I'm like cycling through this new space, and we're headed into the summer here for Arizona, and it's just funny. I was listening to this podcast this morning. It's a long ass way to answer your question, by the way. I was listening to this podcast this morning, and they were talking about how this year, 2024, like a lot of people are feeling this energy right now of like, okay, what are we? What are we brewing up? What are we getting ready for? What are we getting into? And I think that's why you're here, is to help us understand some of that through these money and writing workshops that you have coming up in Los Angeles. That's the reason that Cortney's here today. And you can hit that QR code at the top of the corner, or you can hit that link that's in the comments, and both will take you to information about the writing workshop. So let me flip the question back on you. How are you feeling?
Ooh, okay. Do I get a long ass answer too?
I hope so.
I am feeling great. It is after 6 p.m. here in Italy, where I
Okay.
currently am, where I spend most of my time. And yeah, I'm also just super jazzed to be talking to you today and to be sharing some information about these upcoming workshops. Like, I haven't given public trainings in a while, so this is super exciting.
When's the last time you did something like this?
Well, so I do a lot of private trainings, as you know, for major corporations and like private events where it's, $100,000 a pop to come and just to see the presentation. So it's like, came as I would say, a really strong intuitive hit to just offer some of these trainings, because I'm doing private ones in Malibu, but it was like, nope, it's time to offer some trainings that are accessible to everyone. So specifically what came through was to focus on money and to focus on writing. And it's not really about necessarily just about money and writing. They're two separate days, but it's really the consciousness of money, the consciousness of being a writer. And it was funny because when the writing one came through, I was like, well, wait, why should I do one on writing? And someone was like, well, you have 2 best-selling books on multiple lists. Like, maybe that's the reason why you should do something on writing. But I was like,
Right.
wait, but then I realized that it's really about the consciousness of it. And so people embodying the consciousness of what it is that they want. So whether it's writing that book or whether it's some other passion project, it's really, how do you step into the being of that? So yeah, that's where the inspiration came from.
Well, make sure you guys hit the QR code that's in the top right. That's where you'll get information about her money and writing workshops. I couldn't personally endorse Cortney McDermott more. I just found her to be a real bright spot in my life personally, and then we've connected so much on these great podcasts that we've done together, and in a lot of ways my relationship with Cortney McDermott feels like this childlike friendship that you have when you're kids, where you meet somebody and you're like, hey, you want to play? And then you just start getting together and some cool shit starts to happen. And I really think that's cool. That's a cool thing for, people like who are getting to be my age to do again, is like, hey, let's jump back into that childlike curiosity. Let's meet some new people. Let's get some new energy in the room. And so let's specifically talk about money, and then let's talk about the writing, because the money workshop is going to be on Saturday, May 11th. And then the writing workshop is going to be on Sunday, May 12th. And I recognize, and I'm sure you recognize, that's Mother's Day. But what greater gift for some moms than to jump into a workshop that weekend and pour into themselves and invest in themselves, right? Like, I remember when we were on the radio, Cortney, I would ask people, like, for Mother's Day, what do you want? And it's almost split down the middle. Half the moms want to be left alone and they want to go do their own thing on Mother's Day. And the other half want to be all around their family, all around their kids, doing that kind of a thing. And so you're going after that first group, which is like, I'm going to just go do my own thing and pour into myself. So what does the workshop weekend look like?
Okay, well, first of all, I want to say that this is a mutual admiration society. I love you. I am so happy to be here. Thank you so much for talking to me today. And second of all, I don't necessarily think the two things are mutually exclusive in the sense that you can be that mom who's just like right now, I'm moving halfway across the world for my daughter and I have a booming career. Like the things are not exclusive. And this is what I want moms to recognize is like, you can be devoted to your child and devoted to the calling that is within you. And that doesn't necessarily mean a specific vocation or a job. It means there are things that are calling to you specifically, whether you're a woman or a man. I mean, obviously, Mother's Day, I'm happy to give moms. By the way, there's a discount for moms. It's moms. You get 20% off. If you're a mom or you know a mom or you're a child of a mom, like you automatically get, which basically means everybody, it's moms.
With
So
an
that's
S,
for
right?
both. That's for both workshops. And like I said, like this is an opportunity even for like kids. I was going to say children. So I feel like my daughter's still a child, but anyway, it's like kids and moms to go together and say like, look, there is this calling, there is this thing, and it is constantly calling to you. And you know that, like everyone kind of knows, oh, I'm not prioritizing this, but in truth, like there's something important here that is kind of just like knocking at my door and maybe I'm ignoring for various reasons. And so these workshops are an opportunity, like I said, to kind of dip into the consciousness of that. I'm going to be talking for sure about, like, there's definitely going to be some science mingled in, but in a really accessible way. So people can start to understand like, hey, there are realities within me. And again, these are maybe connected to neuroscience or epigenetics or whatever, but there are realities in me that can create new realities, that can create new potentials for me. And those are what I'm ready to access now. So if anyone is at that point where you're like, which we can all get to a different, like, it's like, oh, well, now I'm here, but I want to be over here, but not in the sense of material gain or anything like that. It's like more of who you are. That's it. So that's really what they're about. Yeah.
I'm excited about these two events, and I'm hoping, as I'm sure like half the audience is right now, that you'll do these workshops again on some other weekend, because I would have been there for both days, no questions asked, 100%. Because I am somebody who has been working on my book for a little while. And I've always had this little voice in my head that said to me, your story's not over yet. That's why you can't finish the book yet. And it feels like there is some thing that's been waiting to happen. And I believe, I know this may sound crazy, but I believe that it was this season I just went through that I needed all of that to wind down and wrap up, because now it feels like I have a little bit of an ending to the story. And so I'm really excited to jump out. I was going to show you this really quick. I have been working for a long time, and I finally just got this finished, because I've been writing a little ebook too. Where is this? Where is this little thing? I don't want to tee this up and then I can't find it anymore.
I love it. You get like all these live, like, here, we're going to show this thing. I mean,
Yeah.
Awesome. I love it.
I got a lot going on. I have too much going on. I'll have to find this a little bit later on. But I'm almost done with this little ebook that I've been working on. And I'm getting the cover art done, and it is done. I'm pulling this up. Everybody just hang tight here, because I'm excited about this, because this is the kind of thing that you're going to help people do. It's like, take an idea. Boom, there it is. There's the cover of my little book.
Oh, I love it. Oh, it's so good.
You like it? How to talk to people you don't like talking to.
So good.
So
good. I need that book.
You need that book? That's what everybody keeps saying. But I basically took all of my training that I had over 30, I was on the radio for almost 30 years, and I figure I've had about 140,000 communication hours where I'm like talking to somebody and having a discussion. And you can imagine that during that time, I found a lot of people that I didn't really like talking to. And so I had to develop these tools on how to talk to people you don't like talking to. And that's the kind of stuff that's in the book. But what's interesting is you can use that on your family. You can use it on your friends. You can use it on your bosses. You can use it on just about anybody that you have to interact with. And so I'm excited for this little ebook to come out. I can't even imagine what it's like to be you and have like two full books out. I mean, is it incredibly validating to have two books authored out there? Does that feel like an accomplishment to you?
You know what feels like a real accomplishment is every single time we get messages from people
Yes.
randomly, like all over the place, places. We get, reviews. We get all these. I mean, we've gotten hundreds of 5-star reviews for the book. And it's like every single time. I mean, I had someone write to me not that long ago saying that they were living in a trailer when they picked up the book. They were destitute, all these things. And now it was like they have completely revolutionized their life. And they attribute it to the book. But really, it's attributable to them. And every time I get a message like that, which is frequent, I get a message like that. I get lots of messages like that after speaking on stage or from these books. And it's like every single time you get something like that, there is no value to it. Like you could not put a value to it. And of course, there's a wonderful, like a massive passive income from books. Like I make massive passive income from my books, but it pales. It just pales. It's nothing in comparison to that when you get that from people saying, "Oh my God, your book changed my life."
Okay.
And again, it's not about the book. It's about you being ready for that book in that time, in that space, in who you're becoming. And that's also what this training is about. Like if someone is hearing it and they're feeling called to it, it's like listening to that calling and saying, I'm ready to be me.
Ask you a question about money, since that's going to be day one of the workshop.
Yeah.
So most people struggle. I should say most people. A lot of people struggle with money. I'm somebody who has some definite issues with money, mostly because of the way that we grew up, where we just didn't have any, and so that can create a scarcity mindset, and then you operate your life that way. At least that's my story. I won't put words in other people's mouths, but are you going to talk about that kind of stuff at this writing workshop or these money workshops?
100%,
Yeah,
100%, because I came from a huge scarcity mindset.
you did.
Like oh my God, Matthew, and this is one of the things I feel like people sometimes, they see you and they think, oh, well, that doesn't apply to you. Like you just had it. Like, no, no, no. I had literally, I think of all the people I know and knew at the time, I was the one 100% in scarcity. And that's really the thing. I think that people, to understand, it's not like you don't have to be born this way. You don't have to have it indoctrinated in you from the beginning, but there are very specific things to understand. And it's an understanding. And when you have the understanding, everything will shift in your life. And it's beautiful. Like I literally got a complete download for both of these workshops. So I was just sitting in meditation and I had a notebook nearby me. And it was just like, this is exactly what you're going to be covering in this. So this is not about some strategy, because people think all the time, oh, I need a strategy to get rich. Well, there's lots of things you need to understand about even why you want to get rich. And that's another area that we'll be covering. But the strategy is not going to serve you if the stories that you have don't support the strategy, and if the state that you're in does not support the strategy. So it's how you shift the state, you shift the stories so that certain strategies can be available to you. It's not the 5-point plan to whatever, it's the becoming, it's the stepping into wealth consciousness. And so this is specifically designed for anyone who has been in scarcity and doesn't know how to get out.
And I'm not asking you to give away the farm, but what is one of the things that you're going to talk about? What is a piece that would maybe whet somebody's, appetite a little?
Yeah. So, well, first of all, you have to understand what it is behind. Like lots of times people think they just want more money, and it's like they'll have a specific dollar amount and they'll fixate their attention on that amount. So it'll be like, oh, if I just had, I don't know, 10 million in the bank or a million or whatever your point is, it's irrelevant, because actually even that, like the whole thing is just illusory, but it's what's behind that. So recently I was on stage and someone was saying, well, I just want to make my first million. And I started to kind of dig in there with her. And I said, well, okay, well, what would that mean to you? And she said, well, it would mean that I can pay off my team. I can do this. I can do this other thing. I said, okay, well, what would that mean to you? And we dug in for maybe 30 seconds. And what came out after 30 seconds was, I would feel like I'm enough.
Mm.
And, some people that might be, I'll feel free. Like right now, I'm at a very beautiful place in my life. Like I have complete location, time, space, freedom. Like I get to work where I want, when I want, with how I want. My work doesn't feel like work, all these kinds of things. It wasn't always like that. For me, freedom was a huge value. Like you need to dig in and understand what is that value piece that underlies what it is that you're searching for in terms of like material, quote unquote, material success. What is the real deep inner success that is, by the way, always available to you? So one of the things we'll do in this workshop, in this time together, is to really tap into that felt sensation inside of you, because that already exists inside of you. That wealth is already there. You're just not necessarily recognizing it, just like I wasn't always recognizing it. So it's the recognition of that. It's the becoming of that. And then what happens, it's like almost like light speed, those things start to come to you. So that's one example of one of the things that we'll do, where people will have this opportunity to tap into the truth behind what it is that they're seeking. It's never going to be about a material outcome. Like I can promise you that, because even if you hit it, you won't feel satisfied. It's
Because
not about that.
you're not a
Yeah.
financial advisor. This isn't a money workshop where you're going to go in and Courtney's going to jump up there and be like, well, and now I want you to take this amount of money and put it into a Roth IRA. And then I want you to maximize your 401k. I mean, it's not
Okay,
that
look,
kind of
I
workshop.
love me a Roth IRA. I do. I've got, it's like, that's great stuff. But yeah, no, that is definitely not what's happening here. This is a
Okay.
consciousness. It's embodying that consciousness, which, by the way, that consciousness may say that the Roth IRA is a great thing for you. Or it may
Sure.
say, screw all that. I'm going rogue over here. Like it doesn't, that's the beautiful thing. It really becomes a game once you step into the consciousness of wealth. And the consciousness of wealth, like just to drop one other thing here for anyone who's, who can't come at this time or whatever, is like feel into how beautiful all this is. Like feel into that. That's wealth. You are here. You can rub your fingers together. You can talk. You can feel the air coming in and out of your body. You can delight in a piece of chocolate. You can wiggle your toes. You
How
have
many people just
ultimate
wiggle their toes? Just
wealth.
wondering how many people just wiggle their toes. I wiggled my toes.
Yeah. You have like you're in the full game. Even if you can't wiggle your toes, like you can think about wiggling your toes. How miraculous and magical is that? So it's really, again, we're tapping into like deep wealth consciousness. I don't think this is like any other training I've ever experienced myself personally on wealth. And I've definitely done a lot of trainings on wealth, and I've studied a lot on wealth, and I have accumulated a lot of wealth. So this is something I think that is really far beyond that. And I think the foundation for real wealth.
Okay, let's pivot to the writing workshop as we wind down here in the next 5-10 minutes. But what kinds of things are going to go on in this writing workshop? Who's it for? Is it for somebody that's got a book idea? Is it for somebody who's writing a book and stuck? Is it for all of the above? Like, who is the ideal person to show up and experience this?
Yeah, I think this is for writers and it's for non-writers. It's for someone who says, look, I want a passion project. Like I've been too long in this place where I haven't known, and you get all this like figure out what your passion is or whatever, all this stuff. And it's like, okay, this is what we're addressing here. It's not like you have to figure out anything. It is literally tapping into the truth within you. Like, for example, I don't know, I think it was earlier today, I got this flash about, um, this whole thing about dharma, like this idea that you have a purpose and all of this, and like you have to fulfill your purpose. But it's like, you're just you being here, like just you being here. And that's, I think that the sensation that I want people to leave with is like, I'm so excited about just being here. Like whatever is going to flow through me is coming from that sense of excitement. Like lots of times and this is kind of maybe even a little embarrassing to admit, but I can't get to sleep at night because I'm so excited about waking up. Like I will get excited about the most mundane things ever. Like I will get excited about the fact that I get to write, or I will be excited about the fact that I make in Italy, we have the little coffee makers are called mochas, so I'll get excited about making my mocha. Like this is about getting excited about that stuff, which then you translate into writing, you translate into speaking, you translate into whatever it is that you are uniquely called for. Like whether people are at that point or not, where they can say, oh, I'm uniquely called for this. It doesn't matter. You will recognize that. You will uncover that. That's the purpose of this training, is to uncover that and then to apply it. But another thing that's unique to this training, I think, is again, it's not like, oh, I'm just going to give you these strategies or these practices. It's let that intelligence that is coursing through you, that is breathing through you, that is beating your heart, that is doing all of that. Let that intelligence well up and tell you what it is that you're supposed to express, that is uniquely yours to express. That's what this training is about.
Man, it does sound incredible. I was at dinner the other night and I was expressing this thought to my wife about feel, and I don't know if this resonates with you or anybody else that's watching us right now, but do you ever feel sometimes like you're right there? You're in the room and you're looking for the right door and you're looking for the right key to fit into the thing, and you just know you're so close. It's like I can feel it. I'm so close. And in my head, the what I'm thinking about is like, oh God, I'm one tool away from all of this making sense. I can just feel it. I'm right there on the fringe of all of this making sense again and getting back into my flow state. I wonder if you could speak to that thought, and then we can kind of wind down. But is that something you experience? Is that something that you're going to help people work through? I mean, maybe you get to be the golden nugget, right? Like maybe the thing you say in this workshop is that thing for people. Speak on that a little.
Yeah, I love that you're bringing this up because it reminds me of in any sports, the one that's coming top of mind is golf. I don't golf. I love being in golf carts though, just side note. But I don't golf. And I know though that when you're a serious golfer, like my sister-in-law, who I love to the moon and 1,000 times to the stars and all the places, she is a golfer. And so she was taking some lessons with someone. And one of the things that they'll tell you is it's the millimeter. It's the millimeter that makes all the difference. It's 1 millimeter. So you're already playing. You're already great at your game. Like she's fantastic. She's got the designated parking spot in her country club. Like she's amazing. And that 1 millimeter will make all the game difference, the pro difference. And that's definitely what these workshops are about. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, my favorite story to articulate that is if two planes leave Los Angeles and they're both headed to New York City, if one of the plane pitches, and I think the thing is 3 degrees, if one of the planes just pitches 3 degrees, which doesn't feel like much, they'll actually land in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's a great way to illustrate how the tiniest adjustments are often the ones that make us really incrementally better. Like I think gets sticky for me sometimes, and maybe other people, is it always feels like, God, is it going to be this much work all the time? Like
Mm.
every time I'm trying to step into greatness or something, is it always going to be this fucking hard? Like, come on,
That's I'm
settle
s-
down.
I'm super glad you're bringing this up too, because that's also what this training is about. Like I have never had an easier life than I have right now. I
Really?
have never had so much freedom of time and expression ever. It's so magical. And I want people to know what this is like. Like you don't have to work your ass off. In fact, it's the opposite. And if you take like one of the things that we'll briefly cover is is Pareto's principle, which is that 80-20, but it's really more like 90-10 or 95-5. Like when you find that 5%, it's like what Archimedes was talking about when he says, give me a lever long enough and a fulcrum on which to put it, and I will move the world. Find your lever, put it on a fulcrum, move the world. Like that's what we're doing.
Okay. Hit that
Yeah.
QR code. It's in the top right. You'll be connected to Cortney McDermott's Instagram, where then you will be connected to her link tree and all the other things. But you can get information about the workshop, which is the 11th and the 12th in Los Angeles. And it's going to be 6 hours both days. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. And if you're going to go, is it one of those things where like, do you bring, what do you want people to do? Bring a snack? Do you provide a meal? Is it I don't know when it starts and when it ends. So that might answer that question, but, what should they be prepared for?
Yeah, it starts at 10, it ends at 4. If you feel like you need a yoga mat, feel free to bring one. We've got chairs, we've got great space. We renovated a gorgeous, it was actually a church in the 1920s, and it's this
That's
really cool
cool.
industrial space near West Hollywood. And so there's going to be lots of space to move around. We're definitely going to be doing some somatic release and some other exercises where you'll need some space. So really bringing like dressing comfortably, all that kind of stuff. We will have organic light snacks available, some coffee, some tea, probably. Like we're all of that's in the works, and it'll be a really beautiful guest experience for sure. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Are you a coffee drinker? Do I not know that about you?
Okay. I love my little mocha espresso thing. It's more of like a ritual sort
Yes.
of
Yes.
getting up in the morning, taking my little pot, like all the things. I love that. Yeah, I love coffee. I don't drink a lot of it, even though I would like to. I don't. But I love it. I love coffee.
Yeah, I used to drink
Water.
way too much coffee, and it like jacked my stomach up a little bit too much. And then I read somewhere that you're actually not supposed to drink coffee first thing in the morning. The actual optimal time to drink coffee is something like 2.5 hours after you've been awake. And
Okay.
so I have tried to move into that space a little bit more where I have a little Nespresso where I produce my own little espresso pods, and so I look forward to it every morning around, well, when you and I hang up here, I like around 10 o'clock, I get to go and enjoy my espresso.
Is that why we're getting off now?
This is what we're needing to wrap up. I'm about to get my caffeine fix. No. But my point is like, I think I like the ritual of it too, more than I actually enjoy the caffeine or all the things that come
Yeah.
with it. I just love the taste of coffee.
Me too. And I think the thing is like really listening to yourself, which by the way, not to harp on the workshops, but this is it. It's like listening to yourself, not what someone else says, but what happens in your body. Like my body just loves that first hit. If I go for a second espresso, if I go for a separate second mocha, my body's like, "Oh, you went a little too far." Like, I love you and you went a little too far. So it's just listening to that. So yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful. All right, I'm going to let Cortney get back to her day.
Thank
And
you.
sincerely, I know I have so many people that listen to our podcast and watch our channels that live in the Los Angeles area. And if you do, really consider giving this weekend to yourself. And if you're here in Phoenix, and you know as well as I do, it's a little 5-hour hop. And you go make a weekend out of the whole thing. Is it just for moms or men invited too?
No. Men are invited. We have some
Okay,
men
good,
guests already.
good.
And yeah, men are definitely very, very welcome at these workshops. Yeah. And they're
And
two
then
separate days. So you can decide which one you want to do. Like they're not linked up. They're two separate events. So yeah.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. And then again, I'm going to pop that up there one more time. You can use the promo code MOMS and save a couple of bucks, and we'll get everybody out there.
Thank
All right,
you.
what do you have going on the rest of the day, Cortney?
Okay, it's almost 7 PM here.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You're in Italy.
I was at a beautiful vineyard like right before this, and I have to I have a radio interview tonight at 9:30. I never accept them that late, but this is like a big radio interview. So I'm like, oh, I was invited back to the vineyard, but I'm like, I guess I gotta stay around and do some meditation. So I think I'm
Okay.
gonna meditate and dance and do another interview and then head to bed.
Head to
So yeah.
bed. Now the radio interview. Now I was on the radio for almost 30 years, so I feel like maybe I could give you. Is there anything you want to know from the host's perspective on being a dynamite guest? I feel compelled to let you know that I might have something to offer.
You're amazing. Well, tell me, you just saw me. I was like kind of a guest, even though you and I are having more of a conversation because we're buddies. But like, is there something that I need to improve? I'm totally open and
Ooh.
loving.
Oh, I don't even think it's about improving because you're perfect the way you are. But I think when it comes to the radio, Hosts love it when you can integrate into what they've already got going on. So what's interesting about a radio host is if you can find ways to make it about them, then you oftentimes will get a really, really high quality interview out of the situation. And moreover, I'm giving you like all the dirty secrets that I probably shouldn't tell people. Moreover, the more you can make it about them and their situation and their show and their listeners and like their community, the more apt they are to help you promote it even more and showcase you even more. So it really is about figuring out how what you have to say can benefit that person, and then watch what happens.
I love that. I did do some recon on this dude. He got like all sorts of awards, even from President Trump, for his community service. And he was a police officer at some point. And like, all this is a really cool, interesting, intriguing background. So yeah, on the East Coast, super fascinating. Anyway, I always do like my homework on people I'm talking to, just because I'm super fascinated by them. So like, I'm super fascinated by you. So thank you for everything you do. Thank you so much for having me on. Thank you to everyone who listened. I love you, Matthew. I am so appreciative.
Oh, I love you back. This is so good. I'm glad we connected, and good luck with your workshop.
Thank you.
All right. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.